Okay, so what do I mean by generic marketing? I mean marketing material that is being put out by hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of healthcare practitioners that could have been mass produced. It's marketing material that doesn't try and speak to any one group of patients, and it's often marketing material that is very formal, quite corporate looking and quite brand heavy, that sort of marketing material. So things like a website homepage or a business card or a leaflet even that just contains stock images that have been bought off the internet. Lists of services, lots of healthcare practices on their leaflets and specifically on their websites just list out all the services that they offer. That could be any practice doing that. Lists of qualifications. We have all worked incredibly hard to get our professional healthcare qualifications. I understand that. But predominantly people don't want to see that list of qualifications. They'd much rather hear from you what you do, how you care for your patients. Quote graphics. Now let's talk about quote graphics. I put out a lot of quote graphics and they get a lot of engagement for me, but you need to understand that in doing that, you're doing a lot of generic marketing. Now I market to a very broad spectrum of people, albeit they're all healthcare practitioners. And so I, as well as my very sort of focused and specialist marketing stuff, I also put out some generic marketing. So you just need to understand it's not wrong, but you need to understand that in putting out quote graphics, it's very generic and it's appealing or attempting to appeal to a broad spectrum of people. Videos that have no voiceover, those awful videos that just show sort of like the panorama of the front of a building or something, or walking down a corridor and going into a clinic, but there's no voiceover, there's just some generic music playing as the music over the top of the video, that sort of stuff. That is really generic marketing. And push sales messages. I see, and you'll have seen them, loads and loads of healthcare practices pushing out messages in the form of an image that just says we've got available appointments today. Now again, that's not wrong, but you have to understand that it's generic marketing and it's not necessarily going to attract the exact kind of patients that you want to see more of in your practice. So that is what I mean by generic marketing. So what is the trouble with putting out generic marketing? Surely putting out all of this content is still going to raise your profile in your local area. Well, there's a number of problems with this very generic approach to marketing. Primarily, it's effectively promoting your competitors, not directly but indirectly, because if you're putting out a very generic marketing material, it could be any physio practice in your local area, it could be any podiatry practice in your local area. So this very generic marketing that I say is very corporate, it's very formal, it's just words, lists of words, or sort of bland photographs that you could have bought off anywhere. It's not really promoting specifically your practice, it's just promoting your profession. Now that is not necessarily a bad thing. To raise the profile in your local area of a specific profession is not, I say, necessarily a bad thing, but you just need to understand what it is you're doing with your marketing. If you're putting out this generic marketing, you're promoting your counterparts, your local competitors as much as you are promoting yourself. Secondly, it's not helping you develop any know, like and trust. Now, know, like and trust are the first three elements of the patient sort of journey we want to take our patients on, and that requires real people, real personality coming through on your marketing material. Because if somebody is going to decide whether they like you or trust you, how the heck are they going to do that from a photo you've just bought from the internet of some American dude wearing a white shirt with a stethoscope around his neck? Like, how is that going to help you market you and promote you and your practice? It's not going to, okay? So generic marketing does not really help promote that know, like and trust and help you get across your personality. It also doesn't help you build contact and connection with your dream patients. This is a whole other subject for a different blog post, but understanding who your exactly who your dream patient is, those people that you really want to attract more and more and more of into your practice. You have to know who those people are and target your marketing specifically at them. And just putting out this very generic marketing is not going to connect with those people specifically. You'll make some loose connections with a broad spectrum of people, but you're not going to attract those dream patients into your practice by using very generic marketing. You're also going to struggle to make human connection. Now, if you're doing a lot of offline marketing in your local area, you're probably ticking a lot of these boxes. But if you're relying very heavily on your Google My Business page, on your website, on your social media profiles to help raise your profile locally, you have to be getting across you as a person, your team as people, and make human connection. A digital interface is very, very difficult to make a human connection if all you're putting out is stock images, videos with no voiceover, and a lot of text. That is not helping people really make a human connection. And emotion is a big part of the buying decision. And in order to make that buying decision, people have got to emotionally connect with you. And you're only going to convey that and enable people to make those decisions if your marketing material contains you. You've given of yourself, your team have given of themselves, okay? So that's another problem with this generic marketing. And the final thing I just want to make is generic marketing is unremarkable. Now, those of you who've heard me speak at conferences, been around my blog a while or on social media will know that I'm a big fan of Seth Godin's concept of the purple cow. You have to be remarkable. You have to stand out in your field. If you are the only physiotherapist in your town, awesome. But 9 times out of 10, you're probably not. You have to do something to stand out and make people kind of see you and remark on you. And to do that, you have to put out marketing content that is remarkable. It's not generic, it's not bland, it's not corporate, it's not formal. Okay, it has to be something that pops out the screen, that jumps off the page, that really grabs me. We're living in a really noisy, busy world, and just putting out a square advertising in a magazine is not going to cut the mustard. It just is not going to engage with people and make people be drawn to you and want to know more and want to learn more about what you do, who you are, and how you can help. So those are some of the troubles with putting out generic marketing. So if you are currently sitting very firmly in the generic marketing bracket, what can you do to get out of that? What can you do to raise the bar with your marketing? The first thing is to be authentic, to be you. Okay, you need to be having some fun with your marketing. You need to show your personality with your marketing. You need to demonstrate that you're local and you've got those local connections. You need to be a real person. Not, again, just look on social media. Look how many healthcare practices have their profile picture set as their logo, all right? That is not helping you. You've got to stand out. You've got to be real people. Remember, we talked about making this human connection. So the first thing you have to do is to try and start to be really authentic with your marketing, all right? Use your own pictures on your website and on your social media posts. Tell people when you're having a bad day. Don't become a real moaning Minnie, but if something's not quite gone right, or the delivery's arrived late or something, you absolutely feel free to paint a true, honest picture of life in your practice. As I say, don't dwell on the real negatives, gloss over those, but be authentic, just be real, because that is what's going to help endear you to people. If you always put on this very formal, starchy, kind of stiff facade, and only show an empty reception area and or an empty clinical room or something, that is not showing the real you. That is not showing the vibrancy in your practice. That is not showing the energy in your practice. That is not showing the personality in your practice. So you have to really start to be authentic and to be prepared to give a bit of yourself. And on the back of that, the second thing you have to do is you have to be prepared to stand out. As I said in the previous section, being very generic, being very corporate and formal and all of that stuff is just blending in with the current noise on the internet. Okay, we are all living incredibly busy, chaotic lives. We're all being bombarded with content and information all the time. And you have to do something to stand out from the crowd, otherwise you won't stand out from the crowd and your marketing material will not work. So you have to be prepared to stand out. So that is point number 2. And point number 3, please, please, please take some time to really understand who your dream patient is. Who are you wanting to target with your marketing? Because if you know that, you can start to build web pages, leaflets, social media posts, blog posts around this dream patient. And you can start to make content that is specifically targeted at them, to help them, to support them, to take them on this patient journey, not just to sell at them, to really help them and start to nurture a relationship before they've even come to you. And you can't do that if you do not know who your dream patient is. Okay, so be authentic, don't be afraid to stand out, and get to know your dream patient. And if you do those 3 things, you will start to step away from generic marketing and into a much more purposeful, intentional way of marketing, which is going to be much more effective for you. Okay, that is all I wanted to say about generic marketing. I hope that's helped you and I hope that's given you some food for thought. If you are not watching this video on jillwoods.com, I encourage you to head over there. There's so many more really intriguing, engaging blog posts over there. I would say that because I've written them, but head over to jillwoods.com/blog. If you are watching this video on YouTube, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel, and then you'll get all notifications of the next time I post more videos like this one. If you've got any comments, queries, questions about this blog post, just pop them in the comments box below this video and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you found this useful, and I will be back here next week with my next blog post.